Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suaveless day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing and thought-provoking and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator, and the host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Hey, happy anniversary to Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Yes, we're celebrating 1 year, again, 1 year of this broadcast, and I think I'm so happy, so excited, yet super exhausted. You see, I'm looking all regular. I got my tie, had a long day. Just not too long, got in from Macon, Georgia. Really had a long day, just trying to do some business, trying to expand in business, trying to grow personally, professionally, and developmentally, and spiritually, and financially. But I just want to celebrate this 1 year, man. It's just been a very great year. And this past year, I just thank God for it. Thank God for my producer, man. Thank God for his creativity, just leading and guiding me. I thank God for all the supporters. I thank God for the guests. I thank God for just giving me an opportunity. I just want to thank for all the supporters. And I want to give a special thank and gratitude to my mentor who shows up for me when I'm feeling sick and feeling ill, when my guests are no shows. I just appreciate him. In fact, I'm pretty exhausted, and I don't even know if I'm going to do a whole hour or whatever, but I haven't been feeling too well, for the past 30, 40 minutes. And he said he was willing to cover me. And I just thank God for that. And I appreciate him, man. It's always great to have people like that, to have you back, man. I'm going to tell you, it's nothing like teamwork, and he's always emphasizing, brother, Suave, I got your back. And that's me playing him. But he always has my back, and I appreciate everything that he does for me. Because again, you have to be grateful for people having your back. Never take this for granted. And that's that term, having your back, will probably come up on this broadcast today. So tonight, I just want to be very, hopefully that I don't offend anybody tonight, but I'm just being very appreciative. There you go. How you doing, brother? He said, I'm here for you. Again, you always here for me. I appreciate you. So, I'm grateful for, again, another day to see that I've never seen before, another day to get it right, another day to tell my friends, those who I respect and love, that I love them. I love you guys. And I have no problem saying it. So today I'm just going to discuss some of the things that went on over the last couple of weeks, this current event, as the untimely death of, the untimely death. Oh goodness, I'm having Tyree Nichols having a brain fart. Again, I'm sort of tired. And the brutal beating of this young man. And again, it's horrible. It's a horrible death. May he rest in peace. And how this whole ordeal has been handled. It from the start, it's just been so much suspect stuff going on. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff that's going on. Just my own personal opinion, and it's just not just some opinion. I have a background. I work law enforcement. I worked at the jails, the prisons, 20 years of law enforcement experience. I was project manager of the Regional Collaboration on Violence, vice president of information, public affairs. I was managing and making sure things was handled with the mayor's office of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Same thing with all three police departments, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County police departments, when it came to how officers handled situations. Of course, the organization does no longer exist. We was always, talking about how you deal with trauma, other people who've been traumatized, their families, and how officers need to conduct themselves. So this is not something just always necessarily my opinion, but it's a lot of things dealing with my experiences. Limited as they may be, I still have some experience as well, some legitimate insight on how our system is operated. So again, this excessive force. Oh my God, how the officers were, this particular group of officers were, I guess, relieved of duty, terminated, arrested, and then charged, and then how some other people weren't, and just this whole crazy mess. And I know sometimes some of the people that I know who worked with me or in the past, it's just even a lot of people who work in law enforcement who know me personally, they may not agree. Maybe people who are again indoctrinated in that mindset of how law enforcement act, the good old boy system. And I hope that and again, it's a lot of people, they may disagree, they may be upset, but I can't worry about that, because at the end of the day, me working law enforcement, I know when I did wrong. But again, they know when they're doing wrong, and when they know they continue to do wrong. And when you don't have integrity, you don't have morals, and you don't have conviction, you continue those behaviors. I myself, yes, I was aggressive, but after a while, maybe for me, a couple of years, 4 years, you start to realize, like, wait a minute, am I getting programmed? Because you go through the academy, you learn so much, and then you start learning this creative way of writing. And trust, this is all over this entire case today. So I'm going to be discussing that. So and I trust um a lot of these officers, and in my opinion, the majority of them. And I'm not going to make an argument about the exception, because we know there's always exceptions. So I'm not going to say all, but I'm going to periodically may say that, but it's figurative language. But we all know, and you guys know, who worked in the profession, that those reports, the majority of them will be lies. And I would say all the reports or the arrests unjustly when you're being unprofessional will be straight up creative writing, fabrication of the truth, and a flat out lie. Because no officer is going to actually incriminate himself by telling the real truth about how he conducted himself, how he escalated and did not de-escalate, and how something small could have easily been just a simple citation. It could have been easily an incident report. It could have easily been something as simple. But because that ego, that issue of power and control, it takes over you, takes over your mind. And when you get that power, sometimes people are just not really responsible. So family and friends who believe that their loved ones who work in law enforcement are really good people, is always another side of them that you never would know. You understand? So I apologize to those who I offend, but if I offend those who are continue to perpetuate the structural racism and minimizing the unprofessionalism that you have been conducting in over your course of your career, sorry, but you all know it's the truth. So anyway, I just want to talk about this. So we have this young man. It's just so much, but I'm just going to start off from what I can remember. I can look out on some notes or some things, but I'm just upset. I'm upset. It bothered me because it's a conviction for me. It just makes me think about how they were so aggressive. They didn't have to do. This man is 150 pounds. And as I think about my experiences. And the one thing people can always say, it was back up, and maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, but no one can ever accuse me of getting involved in a situation when you have several officers, 3 or 4 or 5 on one person. I never saw it necessary to me to get involved. I do remember one time getting involved in something, and I hit my head and hurt myself as a result of too many officers, too many officers being aggressive and end up hurting each other. And that's a lot of times. If any guys who watch the video, you see people was hurting, guys were spraying each other and doing things because it was just too much. It was just everybody was doing much. If you had a plan and you didn't have to be so aggressive, and you didn't have to have all those levels of use of force, it just didn't have to be that way. But we all know, as things gradually get discovered, the conspiracy. And you see how we're trained to say certain things. And again, it's different because I was in the 80s, in the 90s, but now they have dash cams. So they're coming up with creative ways to play it off. And we all know those terms don't resist. It's just a way to say it so you can cover your back. And that's what they're doing right now. And it's just really sad. And that's the culture of the business. That's the business. That's the culture. The truth. There's always going to be some lying and fabrication, some creativity, and everybody's going to stick together. And unfortunately, this is why you have these common practices. And so, if you call yourself being an officer of any ethics, you're going to get retaliated against. I have a dear friend. Man, her whole career was changed as a result of officers retaliating against her. And same thing, when I was trying to assist her because she was being stressed out, being retaliated against. Hey, they retaliated against me. My locker was destroyed. My car was scratched up. It was just a lot of things. So, people may sit there and say, well, that's not true. You can't say it's true because I'm not imagining this. And you guys didn't imagine some of the things we all done. And so you have to come to a point that you can't say this is okay. So when some of the people who sit there, like I wrote some things on Facebook. Yeah, it was maybe my opinion about certain things, but trust, most of it was facts. And it's sad that people tend to jump to the defense to certain groups of people, and it just shows the biases. And so when we look at this case and we look at it, these individuals, five got arrested quickly. Trust, I've never seen, I don't think anybody's seen anything like this. And then it's funny how if people are not advocating for justice, we wouldn't have got that sixth officer relieved of duty. It's still not fair because these other people were arrested, relieved of duty, and facing second-degree murder charges. And the other person just got relieved of duty. Now, they always, and it just shows so much racism right in your face. And it's just so sad how so many people try to defend it, our crooked and broken system. It's just extremely sad. It's sad. And they show it to you is like, no. And if we, the people, have challenged this system, I don't believe they would have just pretended like he didn't do anything. But I think you guys who fought, who advocated and tried to get some form of justice, and trust, just because we saw 5 officers got arrested, don't think that's just justice, because justice is supposed to be blind, it's supposed to be across the eye. It shouldn't have to require people fighting, addressing our systematic racist system to get these EMTs, the lieutenants, and all these other people to be accountable for their actions as well. Because trust, I think if we would have said anything, it would have been just those 5 people who would have been martyrs. Now, I am not defending them. They got what they deserve. It's just unfortunate, poor judgment, and being a follower instead of being a person who could think for themselves. Because again, we get programmed and indoctrinated, start thinking in your mind that everything you're doing is right. And trust, it doesn't apply to everyone. And when you look at justice, then you look at just us. And sometimes just us are the ones who constantly being penalized for poor decision making. And trust, I don't believe in them because the whole thing is messy. And I'm gonna address how messy it was later. But it's just sad how we have to constantly deal with stuff. Seeing every time we think we have something that's going to give us some like level of relief, is always going to be something controversial about it. It's just always, had these individuals just got arrested and we had addressed and no other people were involved, no EMT not doing their job. The other officer wasn't there, and it was like clean cut. Then we're like, okay, yes, but it's always some way that a particular group of people are constantly being protected. And for those who say when we're advocating for ourselves, it doesn't mean we have a problem with a particular race. It's a system that creates us against each other, and it makes us frustrated and make us seem like we have a problem. But again, it's not the individual who have a problem. It's just this collective, and it makes us seem like, like for example, If I'm pro-black, it doesn't mean I'm anti-white. Anyone who knows me, hey, and I'm not going to sit there and go into, oh, I have white friends. It goes without saying. But anybody knows me, I am a supporter of my people. Doesn't mean I'm a non-supporter of yours. It's just that I understand, like, self-love mantra. I come before anybody, and the same thing when I think about right, or thinking about my people who look like me. I try to support that, and is no one going to make me feel uncomfortable about saying it. How you doing, Freddie? I appreciate your support. If you have anything to say about this topic, be sure to present those questions via the post or chatting area. So again, so we have this system out here. Um, and again, a lot of officers are afraid to even address the issues because of, as I mentioned, the whistleblower. And we need to have systems that protect good officers. Because again, this system will change it. I've seen people who come in this system are very good people. They're like politicians. You know, you have an alderman, somebody who's really believing in the system, trying to be an advocate and support people, and then they end up running for office, and they end up getting corrupt. This is just how law enforcement is. I've seen people come in there in the academy who are very good people, and then they come in and they learn the system. They learn how to manipulate and lie, matriculate, do all these things. Next thing you know, they have become a very violent and aggressive person. So I'm going to read this question by Brother Wally. He said, this is emotional revenge, relationship beating, nothing to do with just a traffic stop. There was a high level of hate there. No police protection or safety. Absolutely. And again, this was, again, the power and control that people get. So here's this young man. And again, I said it was messy. So I'm glad he brought it up. He had the power, the opportunity, and he sought revenge. I don't know if his constituents, co-workers knew his plan, his conspiracy, or how they was gonna get caught up. But the reality is, it's the same old thing. They just go. They don't ask any questions. They don't investigate. They don't say what's going on. They don't stop officer when he's involved in excessive force. No questions asked. And I think that needs to be addressed in this profession. You know how we always say, man, listen, we make a joke. I say, I'm going to hurt somebody. And the person says, what time are we leaving? Sometimes you cannot follow people blindly. And we know the history of law enforcement. This is what I'm saying. So many people are indoctrinated following these things, and they change who they are organically. And so when I'm thinking about these officers, this was nasty because, again, someone was questioning me because they were saying, well, I'm saying, how do I know? Well, we all know now. The young man was seeing the officers. They was working at the same place we all know was FedEx, and he wanted to retaliate. He was emotional. So he got him some get back. And the sad thing is, we all these other topics we're talking about, the people are not doing, the officers not being arrested, the tasing, the spraying. We still gonna get to the part when he was taking the camera. And this just shows how emotional he was, because he was so emotional that he did something made absolutely no sense. And this is how they say, some of these things, these devices, going to get you in trouble. So this imbecile is going to take a picture and send it to the lady. Do he realize what was going to happen? So once she get investigated, we haven't got there yet, but once she get investigated, it's going to be evidence. So he's just hanging himself because he's sending a picture, taking a picture right there because he had no reason to take his picture, and send it to her, saying, this is what your boy looked like. See, that's an idiot. It was daggone emotional. Thank you, Brother Wally. It was emotional. He wasn't thinking. And anyone knows, I'm always saying, emotions block your ability to be sensible, rational, logical. Emotions not your friends. So this can go anything. You can go in terms of, that's why they always talk about emotional intelligence. This person obviously was unhinged. He was unhinged, and he wanted some get back. And unfortunately, these fools was sitting there, got themselves involved in something. Guess what? Their whole family has been impacted as a result of them being followers and not leaders. I don't think they got in this profession to be followers, but I'm telling you, you get in this system, it changes who you are. So guess what? As I always say, one of the most painful experiences in life is the pain of regret. And I guarantee they're going to regret that. And so, yeah, they bonded out right now. Temporary, but trust, this is not over, because guess what? when it comes to self-preservation, somebody is going to spill the beans. You think they just relieved of the duty. Trust, for some, it's going to go away, and for some, it's going to be hell to pay. So trust, just it's just really sad. It's just really, really sad how these people following people. And it's just what I'm saying. It happens when you look at in high school. Kids are following others, and next thing you know, their whole life. And it's just sad. So the 5 individuals charged with second-degree murder. So let's go. This young person, Desmond Mills Jr., Demetrius Haley, and that's the one who got all these fools involved. Tadarius Bean, Emmett Martin the third, Justin Smith, and what's this Preston Hemphill relieved of duty, and the one who said beat his aspirin, not fired. And so you have people defending him saying, well, he wasn't involved. Trust, with an attitude like that, he's involved, because when he don't step up, get himself involved, and not even realize he's protected, as you can see. So I think him getting involved could have really changed the entire outcome of this stuff. But yet he wanted them to beat his aspirin, and he wanted to continue to tase. Trust, I believe if he could have got himself involved, I think this stuff would have been a totally different outcome. But that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm trust all those officers, those 5 brothers, it's over for them. It is over for them. And then you look at the system, and this is maybe a sidebar, but this is one of the things I think we really need to think about when we think about this is why I think some of the people are always advocating for when you're voting, it starts at the local level, because we have these people, like you have a mayor, you have a commission, and this commission hires these city managers, and the city managers are the one who oversees the police chiefs. I believe that how it works. Why aren't these city managers, or should I say, why aren't the mayor and the commissions putting pressure on the city managers to address these police chiefs who continually allow these officers to get away with so much brutality, unprofessionalism, and plain unethical? We see it year in and year out. And regardless of a union or your union reps in a lot of these states, they at will states. So a lot of these officers could be terminated because a lot of them don't have unions. And I know they have something to protect these officers. We all know that. But the bottom line is we got to start questioning these people we're voting for, because a lot of stuff can stop. When you have this, you don't have to let this get this far. We are in a stage where cameras, all these documents through video cameras and cell phones, but we don't see any curve of behaviors. So that means our mayors are tolerating it because they let the commissioners get away with it, and the commissioners letting the city managers get away with it, and the city managers are letting the police chiefs get away with it. So obviously, this is a big issue in our criminal justice system, because I think this stuff, these behaviors can be curbed. But obviously, every officer feels that, hey, I can get away with it. Well, guess what? Some of you black officers, you're not getting away with it. Trust, because there is a thing where we talk about just us, whereas the other group of people are saying just us. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for those. No, I'm not apologizing. We all know, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, we all know what's going on in this system. We know it. So again, so now we think about how, again, I say how we're indoctrinated, and we come up with this mentality of doing things against people who look like us. And then I'm thinking about chief. The chief. I'm trying to go by memory, but I believe it was a long time ago. There was this old lady, 80-something years old, got shot up her house. Her house got shot up. And I believe the chief, who's the chief in Memphis Police Department, was the person who got fired from here in Atlanta. And I think she had that unit. And if I'm not mistaken, It's called the Scorpion Unit. Well, I think I heard it's just been recently disbanded, but she created it and she brought it to the Memphis Police Department. And the purpose of that was to bring peace in the neighborhood. Now, I was like Germany. It was a Gestapo. It was like aggression. It wasn't bringing peace because that kind of behavior is not peaceful. We seen peaceful. We seen King and his group of people being peaceful. No, that wasn't peaceful. I've seen a peaceful officer who came in and always de-escalated situations. Again, there are some officers out there, and again, I'm not going to make a thing about exception, and that's my disclaimer. I'm just not going to do it. But again, this person always de-escalated because we had so many aggressive officers out there. I have so many, so many. I grew up in this profession because I was a kid. So, and you look at officers who just he's so aggressive for no reason. But staying on topic, this chief, she's responsible for creating chaos everywhere she goes. And she's responsible for this. And so I'm happy that they disbanded. But you see how she took the initiative to do something and got rid of those people. So there's so many different layers when it comes to our collective system, our society, our families, our individual, and our collective traumas. And I think a lot of this stuff goes really, really deep in how we all are impacted on and decisions that we have made so many years. And I think we just really, really got to address it. And I think we need to address these issues. And it's just sad. It's sad in so many different levels. I'm disappointed that this continues to go on year in and year out. And it just constantly supporting these people. And I think we just need to find somewhere. And this is why people are always saying to address, hit them in their pockets, defund. Because, and then the crazy thing, right before I heard about this incident, and I just wanted to be proactive, I was saying to myself, we need to address issues of this brutality before another incident comes out. And that's what happened. It is so sad. Hey, how you doing? Very dear friend of mine. He says, his name is James Anthony Jones, great attorney in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He came on our show before. He said, what would you say about the delayed, inadequate EMT response? Oh, this is all a system. Everybody supports each other. It's a good old boy system. Everybody works each other. This was the same thing as you, an attorney. You have an attorney here, you have an attorney here. This person hires his attorney, this person hires the attorney. But guess what? These attorneys see each other every day. So even though this individual hires an attorney to represent them, and this person has to represent them, it's still, even though we say things are ethical and moral, they're not just the way it is. It's a system, and human behavior comes in before any laws. We can say whatever we want. So my thing is regarding that is that EMT, those paramedics and all that, they see each other all the time. When I was in academy, let me tell you what all was in academy. Any guys who went to the academy in the 80s, you had the public service aides was out there. You had the correction officers was out there, both state and county. You had the police department out there. And you had the fire rescue department out there. So you're talking about everybody. So everybody are friends. We see each other. You see people who, lunch break, you see everybody. So everybody is tied to one another. And I think, so when you having a situation where you have a 39 who's been beat down, they're going to take time. Yeah, we get him. You get him. Child, he deserves it. And you take on that mentality. You lack empathy when you get in this profession. This profession changes you. People can say whatever, but they know this profession changes you. It takes, you can have a woman, for example. This profession takes so much feminine characteristics and out of the average woman that gets into this profession. It's just a shame. It's really sad. It's really sad how it takes out. So again, James, it's everybody works together. You see it in the jail, you see it in the prison. The staff who's non-sworn, they get the mentality of the power control, and all they do is get upset and they be aggressive instead of being professional and staying in their lane because they're not security when it comes to being in the jail and the prison. They take on the attitude of an officer. You're all right now, and they act really aggressive. And if those inmates don't comply, all they do is sick the police on them, sick the correction officer on them, sick the deputy on them. You know, so everybody's our friends. It is just like saying us and them. Us as the staff, sworn and non-sworn, and then it's the them, the inmates. So this is what happens. So here's another question by James Jones. Is it possible that the medical staff at the hospital were too derelict and possible that intervening cause of death exactly and not the beating itself? Yes. He allegedly bled 3 days later. Yes. This is why it's emergency. It makes a difference in how you get to it. It's like the difference. You remember the Hamlin? If they didn't have the EMTs there, it makes a difference between life and death. The ABCs, what I forgot, airway, breathing, and circulation. I forgot the ABCs of stuff like that. That's been so long ago. My career been over 18 years ago. But anyway, it's crazy. So yes, that made a difference. And again, everybody works together and they have the same attitude. So of course they're going to take their time. They're going to take on the mentality. And this is what I'm saying. It's not professional, it's personal. Everybody in the profession takes everything personal. If you're speeding. Be a professional, give the person a citation, let them go, let them fight the courts. No, they taking on the mentality as a person. And the same thing with EMTs. They felt the officer was upset, so they took on that energy and they probably took their time. And that made a difference in life and death for that young man. And they should be liable as well. And some of those people saying nobody was liable, everybody has their role. So when it's a conspiracy, everybody plays their role, James. Everybody. So you're going to rob a bank, you got the person who conspired. That's why they have those RICO acts and stuff. You have a person who's driving the car, you got other people who's holding the door, you got other person who's playing the mode. Everybody's a part of the conspiracy. And the same thing in our criminal justice system. Everybody works together. We act like we don't know this. We see this stuff all the time. As I told you, no disrespect to you, James, but these lawyers are friends. They went to law school together. They do favors. I got you this time, but you owe me one. We all know it. The same thing in law enforcement. For years, people would call people in corrections and looking at who, where it is. Look out for a family member. And then the people use their computers, access, and find out what people, where they stay and all that. It's all a system. People working in courts, helping a bondsman out, letting them know. It's all a system. Everybody knows everybody. It's like what we say in Miami with Tree Daddy. You say everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. In this system, everybody knows someone. And we got to stop fooling ourselves as though we don't know that. So I'm just, it's terrible in how this young man has lost his life as a result of someone being jealous, all the cover up. And when is our system, we talking about a recession. We're talking about economic struggles for a whole bunch of Americans. When are our tax dollars going to stop having to go paying back victims of our criminal justice system? And we talk about defunding. Listen, if we do more terminating and firing and all that money that each one of those officers saved or going and how the departments are matching that, give that to the families. Give that to the families. I guarantee it'll be some changes. It'll be some changes. So again, they give it to the families. I guarantee you'll see some changes. So this is why a lot of people saying defund the system. Because too many of our tax dollars, because law enforcement, all these are public service jobs, and these are taxpayers' dollars. So if we start making them and stop defending the bad officer, because law enforcement has a bad name now. Aren't you guys tired of people looking at you side eye and you saying that people are aggressive and you wonder why? Because no one likes law enforcement officers anymore. And now the EMTs and fire departments, you don't want to be in this mess. Because you remember, you guys are heroes in America as a result of 911. You don't want to sit there and be on the same page as these officers. Y'all think y'all seen some stuff on them cameras. Bro, if they ever had cameras in the jail, if they ever had cameras, well, I heard they got cameras, but if they ever had like body cams, oh my God, it would be a mess. I'm telling you, this system changes you. I mean, it's just like sometimes, I've heard since I've been retired that some of the people say, man, they protect the inmates. Some of these officers are mad because they can't beat inmates up. Can you believe in the mentality? Because they complain about the cameras. Just be a professional. We all know use of force is needed. We know that. So I'm not going to BS you. We know it's needed. But excessive force is another thing. And I guarantee you can get the same results. If you take them down and handcuff them, those handcuffs are still, they can't move. And we're taught how to take down people. There's so many techniques on how to take people down. Again, I'm disgusted about this whole ordeal. I hope things get better. As much as we've seen, I always try to believe and things will get better because I know they will. Just when. It just reminds me of the person say, as long as I owe you, you'll never be broke. Well, our system needs to change quickly. And we need to do something about it. And it's like, when are we going to make this change? Because as long as we continue to allow these lawsuits, these payouts, these huge payouts to the families of officers, dirty work, it's going to continue to happen. And so we sitting there looking at taxes and everything is going to continue to go up because we have to fund the unprofessionals. We have to fund how our systems continue to save face instead of separating themselves from those people who are doing something. I personally think, because I know these 5-year increments, I think that it needs to be reevaluations every 5 years because we know officers are getting worse and worse. And if they have so many write-ups and so many things, it means they're not suited for this profession and they need to get out. They need to come up with some way of evaluating these officers because they are destroying the lives of many. And trust, those officers have families and children themselves. So the young man who, I forgot his name, Demetrius Haley, I believe he has children and an ex-wife. Look at her. Pension, everything's gone. So his child's going to be is going to receive the consequences of his poor decision, and there's other officers. See, so it's not just the victims, but it's victims on both sides. Victims from the officers' families because they're going to suffer. You're talking about mortgages. You're talking about private schools. You're talking about their future has been jeopardized as a result of their decisions. So again, officers out there, think about what you're doing because at the end of the day, it's going to catch up with you, and you don't want your future, your child's future, and your family's future thrown away as a result of you being personal and not professional. And I am not completely innocent of a lot of this stuff, but I did not drag that out my entire career, and I had to get out of it because it ate me up and it bothered me, and I knew it was other things I can do, and I didn't. So I hope that I didn't say anything that was anything far-fetched or apologize for those associates and friends that I built relationships over the years. But again, you guys know You know the truth. You may have a hard time verbalizing it, but we all know we did some dirt. So just thank God for this 1 year anniversary. Wasn't all super juvenile. It was some serious matters. But I'm happy I had the opportunity to share and express this. So just remember, great minds reach great places. This is Dr. Brother Suave signing out.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard? This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you.